going to take us all the way back several centuries to the 15th century. And this is Christopher Columbus shown in the middle. We just had Christopher Columbus Day, a controversial holiday now in the United States, pass a couple weekends ago, or also Indigenous Peoples Day as well. So some of you may know that Christopher Columbus himself was quite obsessed with the Book of Revelation and also with end times predictions. So he was highly influenced by a Franciscan abbot named Joachim de Fiore, who had made all sorts of predictions and talked about the different dispensations and periods and eras of the world leading up to the end of the world and the coming again of Jesus Christ. And Christopher Columbus himself kept a record, and you can actually look at it today. It's a collection of different prophecies from Hebrew Bible and New Testament and different learnings, including from what Joachim de Fiore is reported to have said and others regarding the end of the world and regarding where paradise might be located. And he gathered these together in what he called a book of prophecies. It was like his notebook of what he believed. Christopher Columbus was subscribed to a point of view of the geography of the world, much like his contemporaries, in that, and you'll see in maps of the world, Mappa Mundi, as they're called in Latin at the time, where you have Jerusalem at the center of the world, and at the top you have the utter east, and at the bottom, of course, you have the west. And in the east, right, as you sail towards the east, basically up the map, you're headed towards where the traditional understanding of where the Garden of Eden, paradise, was supposed to be located, right, as it's said in Genesis. And what Christopher Columbus believed that he was sailing towards, as you might know, when he took his first journey out westward, right, out of Spain, he believed he was going to find paradise if he kept sailing to the far east, right, going around, navigating the globe. And he sincerely thought he had found paradise, right, when he sighted land. And part of the motivation for this sailing was that he would find this land, paradise. And once he found it, right, if you read in Genesis, right, it describes Eden as having jewels and rich gold and all of these things. And so the idea was you would find this Edenic paradise, find treasures, bring these back to Spain. And he believed that one of the prophecies that had to be fulfilled for the end of the world to arrive was that Jerusalem in Palestine needed to be taken from Islamic power and to be brought back under Christian rule. Because Christ's millennial reign, as is foretold in Revelation chapter 20, was supposed to take place in Jerusalem. And of course, that can only happen if it belongs to Christianity once again, right? So one of his goals was to bring about that prophecy and fulfill it so that he is making Jerusalem once again part of Christendom where Christ would reign. The other prophecy that needs to be fulfilled, part of it you find in Revelation, in which you have all tribes and nations are present, right, worshiping God, which means that there are converts in every tribe and nation. So in sailing to these parts unknown, he would find people who had not yet heard the gospel. They would be converted, right? And that would fulfill the other part. This is also foretold by Paul, right, in which he says the full number of Gentiles needs to be brought in before Israel also is saved, and then the end of the world comes, right? So converting those who had not heard the gospel yet, evangelizing all of them. And the second is to take back Jerusalem. He needs money and funds to do that. So sailing east is going to do that. So the very beginning of exploring for Europe, right, and for the European explorers was framed in this apocalyptic way. And lo and behold, he spots land, right? And the explorers after him also, right, find this vast land and people totally strange to them, flora, fauna, completely new. And it creates this apocalyptic moment of discovery. And it launches a way of thinking about the land that many of us are in right now, right? The United States, this particular piece of land, as fulfilling prophecy in one way or another. So it's framed in an apocalyptic way. And think of the ways that it is named, right? So many new names, like the New Jerusalem in Revelation, right? The New Jerusalem in Revelation Could be a title. The new, right, as in New York, right, is also part of its name. So we capitalize it in Revelation, capital N, capital J in the English translation, although it's ambiguous in the Greek because, of course, we don't have capitalized letters in the lower script of the Greek manuscripts that we have. Um, but it could mean New Jerusalem as in a title, or new as just as simply a renewed, right, Jerusalem, or a refreshed Jerusalem as of old. So it is both longing for what was once true, right? What had once belonged to Israel, a memory, a nostalgia, and at the same time, right, hoping for something completely new. And you can think about the United States and our place names and this fulfillment of prophecy for Europe, also in a very similar mode of thinking about America, the new world, right? New England, New York, New Amsterdam, New Haven, New Jersey, right? I could go on and on of all these new names. So it's filling a similar desire, I would say, at that moment in history upon discovery. And this carries out throughout American history and then United States history past the Revolution, past 1776.